Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us. Welcome to our first annual Mother's Day event. We are so glad you could join us for this evening in celebration of mothers and for a timely discussion on motherhood, health, self-care, advocacy, and business with our amazing panelists, Fiona Harvey, Charlene Ogbini, Aisha Demoithinis, I think I got that right, Sabine Jean, Catherine Mourinho Thomas, Kelly Craig, Maria Petridis, and Principal Mala Pandey, who are all experts in their fields and are based right here in Queens County. Thank you for joining us. Before I continue, I would like to wish, once again, my amazing wife, Tamika Richards, I was with her for Mother's Day, so I don't have to wish her that, but her birthday is tomorrow, so I have to wish her happy early birthday. And I'm happy that I will be able to go get her gift in a little while. Don't tell her I said that. Her birthday is tomorrow. I would be remiss, of course, if I did not shout that out. And a happy belated Mother's Day to her, my mother, mother-in-law, and all our incredible moms out there. I want to thank you because I would not be the borough president if it was not for my mama. My mother sacrificed a great deal for me. So I'm always very appreciative of all the women, not only around the world, but especially in Queens. I want to start by saying your unconditional love, patience, sacrifice, and nurturing spirits keep us out of trouble. Definitely kept me out of more trouble in moving forward every day. And we're proud to follow in your footsteps. So I want to thank all the moms out there. This year, we are celebrating virtually. And I urge everybody to get their COVID-19 vaccine because we're going to be doing this in person next year. But as we continue to follow COVID-19 safe practices, get tested and vaccinated. And, I know that there's been a lot of hesitancy, specifically as you look generationally with women. And, the CDC is putting out guidance on a lot of questions that especially a lot of women have. As I travel around the borough and visit hospitals, even within hospital ranks and staff, there are challenges with hesitancy. So I want everybody to know that the vaccine is safe. You can get it. I got it. I didn't turn green. I didn't lose a leg. I didn't lose an arm. And you know what? I didn't have side effects either. So I just my shameless plug. Over the past year, moms have experienced serious hardships and burnout. And I could say that even within my household with my 5-year-old son, between working and, as the borough president, my job was obviously to be out in the streets. But my wife, I can tell you, what mothers do every day. She sacrificed a great deal to make sure that, and I try to share in the burden as much as I can, but, she really, enabled my son to get through this tough time. So I always say to my wife, I love you. Thank you for your sacrifice. Between the pandemic, closed daycare centers and schools, remote learning, working from home, and even reporting to work on the front lines to save lives, you all have shown the world that you truly are our heroes. I call you sheroes. Not only has COVID-19 highlighted disparities in communities of color, but it also highlighted what many mothers face behind the scenes. But these dynamics aren't new. We knew about these disparities prior to the pandemic, the challenges of dealing with food insecurity, housing stability, mothers in homeless shelters, poor wages, immigrant moms, street vendors, all of these things were already here, and this pandemic exacerbated many of the issues women face. So we simply are here to say thank you, and congratulations to some of you who are new to motherhood. You've endured isolation and have faced countless challenges with too few resources to draw on. In months and years to come, we will start to see the long-term effects this pandemic has had on mothers, their families, and our mental health. And I don't, there's a lot of work to be done there. In fact, May is also Mental Health Awareness Month and International Doula Month. And tonight, you'll hear advice and information on who, what, where, and how we support mothers in Queens, and who needs, for anyone who needs services or assistance, please take this information in. Don't hesitate to reach out to my office. Within my first 100 days, my office has spearheaded a gender justice initiative led by our Deputy Borough President, who is on, Rhonda Benda and Ariella Davidov, and I want to thank them. They've been working hard to increase, expand, and enhance support systems, connections, and relationships for all women. There is no greater gift than a mother's gift of life to her child. Although we can never truly repay our mothers for that gift, we sure can celebrate them. So Queens is proud to honor you today and every day. I'd like to thank my staff who work behind the scenes to make this possible. I'm gonna start with Chris Barker and Aldo Grillo. And I'd like to introduce you to our organizers and moderators for tonight's event. We have my events coordinator, the fabulous Tiffany Eason. We have our community associate, Janine Agard, and our gender justice coordinator, Ariella Davidov, and I want to thank them for their work. Stay tuned to the end for a special presentation honoring our own Queensborough Hall moms, and I want to thank them and wish them all a happy Mother's Day. And I want to once again thank the staff and thank Tiffany for putting this event together, honoring our moms. So thank you. God bless each and every one of you. Thank you for your sacrifice. Please don't hesitate to call on us for any need. We're here. So thank you. Tiffany, take it away.
Thank you, Borough President. It is an honor to be here tonight. And I also want to wish your lovely wife a happy early birthday. I hope you guys have an amazing time. And so I'll just jump right in. Thank you for our panelists taking time out to be a part of our Mother's Day celebration tonight. And first, we are going to start with Fiona Harvey. Fiona Harvey. Is she here? Here you are. Okay. Doesn't show that. Okay, here you are. Hi, Fiona.
Hi, Tiffany. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here. So everyone, Fiona Harvey is a motivational speaker and public health professional from New York City. Harvey is the community health educator and interim community health coordinator for the Queens Public Library, an organization that serves 2.3 million people across 65 locations. Due to the pandemic, Fiona created Wellness Wednesday, a series presented live on the Queens Public Library Instagram page, reaching 15,000 participants weekly to make health and wellness discussions and resources accessible for all. Harvey obtained her Master's of Public Health from New York University with a concentration in community and international health. Having studied abroad in Ghana and South Africa, Fiona recognizes the importance of cultural competency and the various narratives that we all have. Previously, Fiona served as a public health associate for the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and has worked in the field of sexually transmitted diseases, HIV, immunizations, and refugee health. Harvey's coaching uses encouraging and strategic tactics to support people who hail from places like China, London, Senegal, New York, the Big Apple where we are now, Los Angeles, and various other locations. Her speaking engagements have spanned across the tri-state area, Florida, France, and beyond Jersey. At the root of Harvey's work is connection and empowerment for people to recognize the value within themselves. Fiona shares, it is an honor to join us today and celebrate motherhood. So Fiona, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much to Borough President Richards and Tiffany. It's an honor.
Thank you. So first, to kick off our celebration tonight, we ask that Fiona will kick us off with a 30-second breathing exercise, a guided meditation, just so that we can take a minute to take a deep breath, because mental health awareness, as we know, is very important. And it's so easy to get overwhelmed by the stresses of everyday life. So Fiona, I'll let you take it away.
Thank you, and happy Mother's Day to all the mothers and the mother figures. At this time, I just invite you to notice where you are and take a moment to just breathe at your own pace, inhaling and exhaling. Remain in your seat Feel that. Feel grounded in your seat. And when you're settled, you can just close your eyes slowly. And this is a meditation to just help you feel more gratitude. Really start paying attention to your breath as it goes in through your nose and out through your mouth. And you can breathe in for the count of 4, 3, 2, 1, and out, 3, 2, 1. And just keep breathing. You feel your feet on the floor. Notice where your hands are. And just start to think about how lucky you are. What are you grateful for in this very moment? This time is for you. And as you're breathing in and out, just take a moment to name at least 3 things that you are grateful for. And as you're inhaling and exhaling, simply send extra gratitude to these things. It may be a person, it may be a place, maybe it's a memory. Maybe you're thankful for your very breath to be here in this space. And as you're breathing, nice and gently at your own pace, I invite you to slowly open your eyes and express gratitude. Thank you.
Thank you, Fiona. Thank you. That was amazing. I think we all needed that.
Absolutely. Short one, but much needed.
Yes, very, very much so. So I'll begin with the first question. What are some simple self-care ideas for moms to practice throughout and after this pandemic?
That's a great question. When we think about self-care, it really includes those deliberate actions that we do that support our physical health, but also our emotional and mental well-being as well. So when it comes to mothers, thinking about, if you can, waking up a little bit earlier to have that time for you. Self-care, it's not selfish. So maybe that means taking some time out to journal in the morning. Maybe it means taking a walk when you need to, getting fresh air. It could even be as simple as having a cup of tea. There's so many different types of tea that helps to relax us, to give us balance and a nice rhythm to our day. So it's very important to make that little time to do something just for you. And what I always tell people, it could be as simple as 10 minutes for self-care. Start small.
Thank you. And can you discuss some benefits of meditation?
Definitely. So we just did a brief meditation right now with deep breathing. And as you continue to do meditation, whether it's 5 minutes or 50 minutes, the benefits include reducing stress. So mothers especially may feel stressed at times. You wear so many hats. Also, it helps to reduce high blood pressure, which is very important, and it helps with circulation. Meditation is also known to help relax you. It has great calming effects. It's excellent for your brain health. So we see that the heart rate is slowed down, you're able to relax, and that circulation is increased. Also, another benefit of meditation, it helps to reduce insomnia. Many times mothers have trouble with sleeping. You're working so hard and there's that difficulty. You may feel very exhausted. So meditation helps with sleeping as well, and also helps to reduce aging.
Thank you. So I hope that the moms on this this program tonight that are watching practices meditation, and they have something to walk away with and continue to practice after the program. How can all moms develop healthy habits and lay a foundation to lead a balanced and healthy lifestyle?
That's a great question. When I think of mothers and balance, mothers wear so many hats. Not only are they a mother, but they are a friend, they are a coach, a motivational speaker, they're nurses, they are even chefs. They're not just a mom. A mother encompasses so many titles. So to find that balance, it comes down to developing a healthy routine for yourself. And this is for you at your core. So what does that look like? It may mean deciding to choose 2 different things you do, activities each day. That may look like having a favorite meal that you enjoy, having lots of fruits and vegetables, and go with your favorite ones. Choose different types of foods that you enjoy, that make you feel energized, different types of vegetables, whole grains, and add that to your diet. Developing that routine. So I mentioned waking up a little bit earlier. If you do that, decide, what does that look like? It may mean journaling for 5 to 10 minutes before you get the children ready, before you prepare for your work day. Ask yourself, what have I done for myself today? What will I do? And then do that. You can also decide that you may like to add stretching to your day, a little bit of yoga, just getting up and looking on YouTube and finding what works for you. At the Queens Public Library, we do have guided meditation every Tuesday. So that's a great way for you to incorporate positive activities. When we think of self-care, it's not selfish. It's not just a checklist. It is to ensure that you can live a healthy, balanced life that you enjoy. So I suggest starting small with 2 activities, 1 healthy meal, 1 activity to get you outside, walking, stretching, Zumba, and then commit to that. Even journaling. Many times parents read to their little ones. Choose a book that you enjoy reading and then do it.
That's awesome. What resources are available for moms who need to access health information, services, and programs in Queens? And can you provide us with any information on how moms and expecting moms watching and listening can keep in touch with you?
Absolutely. So when it comes to mothers, they're so special. They're a crucial part to our society. And we have several programs at Queens Public Library. Every week we have a Mothers on the Move support group. It's absolutely free, a judgment-free space every Friday at 12. And it's virtual, so you can do it from your home, in the park, wherever you choose. And each week we have a doula who leads the discussion. Some weeks we discuss finance, postpartum depression, stress, an array of topics. So that's a great resource. It's a support group. Moms need to talk. That's a form of self-care, finding someone who can understand you and just release the tension and have that relatability. So I invite everyone to our Moms on the Move support group. We also have guided meditation, as I mentioned earlier, on Tuesdays. We have an array of job and business workshops for mothers to learn from and make self-care a priority, all on our website, queenslibrary.org. We also have partnered with Public Health Solutions in Queens, and Public Health Solutions, they have the Healthy Start program. So whether you are pregnant right now or a new mom, this provides you with home care, nursing care, and educational programs that you can attend. And there's also the Comadres program, which is an excellent program, which helps you to support yourself during pregnancy and with your little ones. So it's definitely needed where you take that time out for yourself. And this is available right here in Queens. Most of the programs are virtual due to COVID-19, but easily accessible. And I also wanted to mention NYC Well. because this is Mental Health Awareness Month, but the conversation doesn't stop here. So it's always accessible. You can text, call, or chat with a licensed mental health professional, and it's free of charge. So self-care looks like going to therapy. It looks like having affirmations around the home with positive notes to uplift you, even making a playlist with your favorite songs to get you throughout the day while you're doing your task. So self-care, it's not selfish. You can't pour from an empty cup. And resources and organizations like the Queens Public Library, we are here to support you. So you can contact me at fiona.harvey@queenslibrary.org.
Thank you so much, Fiona. If you could please share that information in the chat when you get a moment so that we could share that with any moms who weren't able to make the program tonight. We can share that information through our office. And you mentioned doulas. So next we have a certified breastfeeding specialist, birth doula, postpartum doula, and owner of Supporting Our Mothers Initiative, Charlene Agbeni. Charlene, are you?
Hi, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you so much for the introduction. I think that she did most of the work for me. She went over a lot of the supports that we have in the community. But just to introduce myself, my name is Charlene Agbeni, and I'm the owner of Supporting Our Mothers Initiative, LLC, right here in Queens, Jamaica, Queens. Like she mentioned, I'm a full spectrum doula, so that means that I provide support for moms, both birth and postpartum, which is after the baby is born. And in addition to that, I provide breastfeeding support, which is a great resource for moms in our community.
Thank you so much, Charlene. So I'm going to jump right into the questions. Is there a difference between a doula and a midwife? And if yes, please explain.
Absolutely. That's actually a question that comes up relatively often. One of the ways I like to think about it and educate people is that the doula and the midwife have the same goals. They want the mother and the baby to become earthside safely, right? But the difference lies in that the midwife is the actual person that delivers the baby. So the midwife can deliver in a hospital setting, in a community setting, such as a birthing center, or even in your home. However, the doula does not have that responsibility. The doula might be a teammate in the process, but the doula is not able to deliver your baby for you.
Thank you so much for that clarification. A lot of moms in minority communities may not receive that information. And so thank you for sharing that. Next, what are some myths versus facts about what a doula is, and how can we debunk or bust these myths in communities and increase participation?
So the first myth that I normally come across is that I can't afford a doula. There's tons of different community-based programs, particularly one that I participate in is the Healthy Women, Healthy Futures program with Caribbean Women's Health. And they essentially provide doulas free of cost to all people. My target is working with moms in Queens to create the access and support. However, they do provide services throughout New York City. Other myths might be that I think I want to have a C-section, so I don't need a doula. A doula is a person that supports you no matter what your birth goals are, so just making sure that people know that that is something that you can receive even if it's something that's not a vaginal birth.
Thank you. And how do we bridge the digital divide with getting information across to mothers who do not have access to a computer or who do not have access to the internet? How can women planning to start a family or are already mothers gain access to this information and this network?
I think that if COVID has taught us anything is that we have to figure out ways to be creative, whether that is from using WhatsApp to text messaging to old-fashioned, knocking on the door, speaking to the community leaders, speaking to the church leaders, as well. Whoever has an ear to the community that is able to turnkey that information, that's who we need to really get a grasp of. Sometimes people are even using information on the supermarket boards where you might see solicitation for services. That's also an opportunity to educate. Just having a ability to really be there whenever the question might arise.
Okay, thank you. What is postpartum depression, and what are some symptoms for the first-time moms to identify? And how many, if you know, how many more moms than dads suffer from postpartum depression?
So I currently don't have specific numbers in terms of how it is experienced between mothers versus fathers. However, postpartum depression is really a way in which people see themselves differently. So they might experience trouble sleeping, they might experience lack of enjoyment in normal activities that they typically enjoy. So what it is really a break from something that they might usually do or be accustomed to. If you receive any of these changes, you definitely want to contact your healthcare provider and have a conversation about how you're feeling and what changes you have experienced so that you can get as much support as possible. A doula is very helpful in that regard, particularly postpartum doulas. Sometimes they are on the front lines and have those conversations with new families. But one of the resources that the previous panelist that mentioned was NYC Well. They have a wealth of resources, so I definitely advocate for that program.
Thank you so much. And can you provide us with information on how moms and expecting moms watching and listening can keep in touch with you? And can you also share your contact information in the chat so anyone watching can contact you if they have any additional questions?
Absolutely. I'm available on all social media handles at Somi Clients. That's SOMICLIENTS. Our email is somiclients@gmail.com. If anybody would like to reach us, and our web address is the same, somiclients.com. But I will also put it in the chat.
Thank you so much, Charlene. We really appreciate you joining us to share this information, this very important information. And we would like to also thank Fiona Harvey for joining us and sharing this very much important information. And now we will break for a quick Q&A. If there's anyone attending that has a question, please feel free to put it in the chat, or you can unmute your mic and ask away. Okay, Kelly Craig.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, can I just say listen, I get so excited when I hear other positive women out here speaking truths. I'm like over here taking copious notes, just so excited to be part of this. Can I just say two things that really stood out for me? First of all, Fiona, can you follow me around life? And also just give my intentional meditation before I go into certain meetings. I mean, I feel like we'd be doing queens a favor if you followed me and we did like a come to Jesus meeting, like every 10 minutes before I walked in. I could save a lot of people a lot of trouble and heartache, but
thank you, Kelly.
But also, I'm a person who was raised in public housing. The first day I lived outside of public housing was the first day I lived in my college dormitory. And I'm the first person to graduate high school, let alone college in my family. And I found meditation and yoga to be an intentional thing that I could do in my day to block out noise. And the library was my refuge for everything that I did. I spent, I would say, at least 10 to 15 hours a week in my public library. I'm from Florida, so I'm not a Queens native. I will die on the hill for Queens, but I've given birth to a Queens native. So I have a son in the public school system, but I'm just the biggest advocate for what you're saying. And also for Charlene, who's our doula, I think one thing which was so empowering of what you just said talking about postpartum depression. And Tiffany, snaps to you for bringing this to the forefront of conversation. I think a lot of times with women, we're embarrassed to say, because we're supposed to have this Mother Earth experience with being a mother, and it doesn't always happen that way. I had postpartum depression. I had to see multiple doctors regarding that. And any way that we can normalize the conversation, this is something that happens not just in it happens to all communities. And how do we break the barrier of speaking up to normalize this conversation? I just want you both to know, any way that you guys are working forward to normalize this conversation in Queens, you have an advocate in me, and I'm so appreciative to be here, seriously.
Thank you so much, Kelly. We really appreciate it. Mental health and meditation is so important in our office that we do a Mindful Monday every Monday. So as a team in the office, we come together and we get on Zoom and we just breathe and let go of whatever stresses that we have. With that being said, I will now hand it over to Ariella Davidoff, who will moderate our next panel on motherhood in community and advocacy.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Tiffany, for the introduction. My name is Ariella, and I'm the Gender Justice Coordinator for the office, and I'm working on the Gender Justice Initiative. And it's been an amazing pleasure to work on this event with Janine and Tiffany. And I'm sure it'll be the first of very many that we do for women and moms and people here in Queens and families here in Queens. And so I want to introduce our lovely panel, starting with Ms. Kelly Craig, who is a crisis management expert and a single mom that resides in Long Island City with her son Ethan and their adopted rescue cat Wednesday. Kelly is the PSIS 78 PTA president, co-founder of LIC Relief, on the board of directors for Hunter Point Parks Conservancy, and on the board of directors for the Shoebox Project for Women. Kelly was honored with the 2020 Woman of Distinction Award by New York Senate. She was also named City and States Magazine's NYC COVID Crisis Hero for her work on the front lines during the pandemic. I also want to introduce Aisha Demoithinis, I hope I said that correctly, who is a wife and a mother of two awesome kids. Community service has been a part of her life since she was a child, as she would do service projects with her mother and brother from as young as 7 years old. She's been a speech language pathologist for over 10 years, and throughout her years of servicing children in high need areas, she saw a need to promote literacy. Children were lacking books in their homes, and not only did she want to give away books, but she wanted to also show families how to make book reading fun and empowering. Co-founding Moms Who Care, Inc. has allowed her to continue her love of service with her family and friends. And last but certainly not least, we have Miss Kathy Mourinho Thomas. Kathy lives with her wife Sheila and her daughter Jacqueline. Sheila and Kathy have been together for 26 years. Their family lives in Queens, New York. Kathy has been a buddy in the Gay Men's Health Crisis Buddy Program. She worked on the issue of marriage equality for many years and serving in multiple roles, including board president of Marriage Equality USA. Kathy has spoken all over the country about the rights, privileges, and obligations that protect families only through the right to civil marriage. Kathy has also served as steering committee member and organizer for Gays Against Guns, connecting with like-minded activists across the country on the issue of gun control. Kathy is currently co-chair of the board for Equality New York, a statewide coalition-based advocacy organization working towards full equality for all New Yorkers. We're so happy to have you here. And so we're kind of gonna start with guiding questions. Please feel free to answer. They're open questions for all of our panelists. And then we'll go into the Q&A. So the first kind of question that we have is, as an advocate we have a diverse background of advocacy here on our panel. What is one way that your public work has impacted the way that you advocate for yourself as a woman and as a woman and a mother, and the specific issues impacting mothers in your personal life?
Anyone in particular to go first?
Whoever wants to take it away.
Kathy, take it away.
Those who know me know that that's what I would do.
I'm here for it, Kathy.
Thank you. So the question is, how did my work impact my personal life, correct? Well, my most accomplished section of my advocacy would be the attaining of a legal marriage license, which changed our lives in more ways than we have time to discuss here. Every family needs legal protection, and a marriage license is one way to get over 1,300 rights that you can't get any other way but with a marriage license. There's no way to duplicate them. There's no legal contract to make. Only a marriage license would cover that. So in my work for marriage equality, I learned a lot about advocating for myself, because really that particular issue was very personal to me. Being a buddy was very personal as well, but it's a different thing. My family needed a marriage license to raise our daughter, to protect our family from even relatives that didn't quite understand us. So it was empowering to be able to fight for that. And when we first did it, I didn't quite know how to get on the platform and speak openly about our family and the need for a marriage license, but I learned, and in learning, I gained a lot of internal power.
Thank you so much. That's an amazing answer. And I'll just reiterate the question again. So, because I want to give everybody an opportunity to answer. As an advocate, what is one way your public work has impacted the way that you advocate for yourself as a woman and a mother, as well as specific issues impacting other mothers that you know in your personal life?
I'll jump in. Hi, everyone. My name is Aisha. Thank you first so much for having us. This is great. You guys are amazing. It's great to be in your company. I think that for me, it's given me like a sense of confidence and just like an overall sense of like, I need to do this to show my kids, especially my daughter, like to use your voice. And if there's something that you're passionate about, you know, stand on your platform and your soapbox, people will hear you. I feel like a lot of times, well, not so much in the recent, you know, times, but, you know, sometimes we're told to be quiet as girls, right? As women, keep your voice quiet, go along with the status quo. If you make so much noise, people won't like you. As a woman of color, we'll be, you know, the angry Black woman. And so I'm happy that I'm able to use my platform. I'm happy that I'm able to, you know, get this sense of confidence so that I can kind of show my daughter, my nieces, my son, like, you know what? It's important to stand up for what you believe in. And with my organization, Moms Who Care, we promote literacy, mental health awareness, and environmental preservation. It was so great hearing Fiona speak. I'm like, I need to contact her because we have to work together, but we promote literacy in the home. And you all know in this age of technology, when kids are always like given their tech devices to play with, it's almost like the art of reading has been lost. And it's so important, right? So I'm happy to have this platform to share how important it is to be with our kids, to give them all the background knowledge that they can. So when they start school, they have an advantage.
Absolutely. And I want to open the floor as well for anybody, if Kelly wants to jump in.
Yeah, I certainly will. I mean, clearly I'm not a shy person, so I will jump right in to join the conversation. Yeah, I think definitely to sort of reiterate literally what was just said, I think as a woman, we have a certain set of standards, right? So when a man is assertive, we revere that, right? Like that's like a great accomplishment. He's a leader, he's strong, right behind him. But as a woman, when you're assertive, you're aggressive. We get labeled real quick. We're aggressive. If you have an opinion that deviates from the norm, you're difficult, right? And we want to drop the B word a lot. And that's like, it's a word that, I mean, I know I get called that regularly. And I'm sure everybody, we're not on this panel because we've never been called that word. I see every woman, I can see you all right now snapping. We've all been called, I'm sure I can see all of us on a daily basis where we're called that. And I think what's important to realize, and I'm the mother to a son and a son only. And one thing that I want to normalize, I'm a single mom. I'm raising my son here and trying to acknowledge the fact that he is a strong man being raised by a strong woman, and that we have to be able to have this kind of dialogue. And I really want to give a shout out to the Queensborough president. I want to give a shout out to Monica for nominating me for this, for Tiffany, the whole team, Ariella, like all of you here tonight, all of my strong women here shaking who have all been called the B word multiple times on this. Oh, I see you smiling right now. I know, I see you. Everyone here, this is an important conversation, and this is groundbreaking to be having in New York City and to be having this in Queens right now. Needs to become the norm. We've dropped already, we are 30 minutes deep into this conversation. We've dropped postpartum depression. We've dropped racial barriers. We've dropped hardships of these are conversations that should be having on the reg, and we're having it right now. And I just want to acknowledge that. But yeah, I think one thing that I try to teach my son is don't apologize for taking up space. Don't apologize for women being able to step out and I'm in a battle right now with multiple DOE. I'm battling certain district in order to get equity for our children. I'm fighting right now. And, I've been I'm difficult, right? Because I'm questioning hard questions that people are afraid to ask. Keep on taking up space. Every woman out here, keep on questioning. LIC Relief, we started my organization, one of my organizations, which we were the first in New York City for COVID relief response. We didn't have anyone out here who wanted to address food insecurity. And we sort of cornered the market. And then the entire city of Queens, not only just Queens, but New York City used RFP that we created by using restaurants to normalize, how do we feed food insecurity is going to be the first thing that comes forward. And as a person growing up in public housing, and food insecurity was a normal thing for us, we knew that was going to happen. And how do we keep on questioning the status quo? We all need to be on a chain, ladies. I feel like we could solve all of the problems if we were on a chain. And I'm just so proud to be here.
Thank you so much. I have a two-tiered question now. And so the first part of it is, what are the tools of advocacy that you have learned in your work that you would want to pass on to other women and mothers to use? And how would you advise community members to support the mothers in their lives better using those tools or other tools?
All right, so I learned a lot of tools as an activist. I've done all kinds of advocacy. I've done advocacy being the doer. I've done advocacy being the organizer, public speaking, and lobbying. And I'll tell you that the system works. The system of lobbying our legislators and the things that we have within our power as citizens and voters, when used properly, work. I would say that everyone should remember that our elected officials work for us, and they need to take a meeting from us and hear what we have to say. Speak with my senator, my state senator, John Liu, and he'll tell you how well he knows me. But I think that we have to learn that first. We have to learn that we have tools and that we live in a democracy. I learned through my quest for marriage equality that laws can be changed. Any law could be changed. The one caveat I'll say to that is that laws can be changed both in your direction and against you. So we have to manage that. But ultimately, the old adage that the arc of justice, the arc of leans towards justice, or however that goes, it's really true. It's true if we use it. And I learned through my work in various campaigns how to use it. So what I would say to everyone is support what you believe in and go for it, because we really can change it. Right now, with Equality New York, we are fighting for our trans kids. They're in a terrible position right now. Very often our opponents in equality want to pick on the weakest of us. And that is what's happening now. We need things for our children. We need comprehensive sex education. We need laws that have already been passed to be implemented. We need to protect their gender identities, their everything from gender identity to what sport they like to play. Children should be able to be children. And we as mothers have to have to step forward and protect that. So I would say, for the part of the question, how to protect the mothers around us and how to support them, listen to them. Listen to the situation going on with their families and their children. And sometimes that's all it takes, is to hear. But don't forget about our advocacy abilities. We have the power to do that. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hi. So I just wanted to piggyback off of what Kathy said. That's my middle name, by the way, Kathy. My middle name is Kathy. I think that the tool that I've noticed the most, and it's going to be similar to what Kathy said, is the power of your voice, right? And storytelling. I feel a lot of times from the women, and by the way, that's Sabine, one of my co-founders. Hey, Sabine. She was having some technical difficulties. In the shelters that we visited and the community centers and the housing projects that we visited to promote literacy and mental health awareness, we noticed that women sometimes, because we're given all of this pressure to make everything work, right? You can be, whether you're a single mom or you're married, like you shouldn't have any complaints. Do it, right? But there's power in sharing your story, because once you share where you might be struggling with your child, whether it's your child is not doing well in school and you don't know where to go, or your child has an IEP or disability and you're not sure who to turn to. Once you start sharing your story, your voice, right? You start to see other people are going through similar things. And if they're not going through the similar thing, they are able to support you. They might have a resource for you. So that's one of the biggest tools that I've noticed, is the power of sharing your story and not being feeling apprehensive or reluctant to share. Break down that notion of everything has to be put together. We're all put together by pieces of glue, all right? Like right now I have my house slippers on, okay? Like we all, you can't see them, but I do. But I think if we had more of that sense of, you know what, I need help in this area. Can someone help me? I feel like things would be a lot better, and that pressure and that we feel would be reduced significantly. And to the second part of the question of how can people help moms, obviously listen, Kathy, you hit it on the nose, right? Listen to them, but also kind of be like intentional on when you're offering your support. And what I mean by that is, a lot of times parents will say, a friend will say to you, I don't know, friends, if you're listening out there, or aunties who don't have kids, oh, let me know if you need anything, like that genuine statement, right? Let me know if you need anything. And of course it comes from a well-intended place, but if you're more specific, like, hey, Kelly, I'm off next Saturday. You want me to pick up Ethan and take him to the park so you can go get your
He's
nails?
all yours, baby. Take him. He's all yours.
That's like more intentional in your support that you're offering your friend, your mom or your caregiver friend, right? It's more intentional, and they might be hesitant to ask for that. Especially Fiona mentioned self-care is not selfish. A lot of times as moms or caregivers, we feel like, oh, I can't ask for a babysitter to go get my nails done. Like I can ask for one because I have to go to work or have a doctor's appointment, but I feel weird to say, I want to go get my hair done. Can somebody come and watch? But it's so important. That's that self-care that Fiona was talking about, right? So I guess the advice I would give to people out in the internet world, be more intentional in how you offer your support to the moms in your circle.
I think also one thing, just to piggyback off of what you just said, is how do we also normalize being moms for your kids in these situations? This past year, we've also been in a pandemic where our children might normally come to meetings with us. They might normally be on Zooms. They might normally be, but how do we also like support moms? I know for sure, but I think one of the most relatable things that any politician at our school, as PTA president, we have all of them come and want to speak. And the Queensborough president, Donovan Richards, came out and said that my wife, and he was at our last PTA meeting, and this is so important because it resonated with everybody in our community as a parent this past year with doing blended, remote, or whatever sort of form of education you've done. He said, my wife has fired me from the online classes, and I'm now put to health classes, and I'm also put to gym. And this is where I shine. And every parent was just like, you too? And that was like a moment where it was like, I know that. So I have been concretely fired from music. I have no music ability. I'm tone deaf. I acknowledge that. My name is Kelly Craig and I am tone deaf. I can't hear what our music teacher was giving. I shine and debate and art. I'm here for it. But then I have been fired from certain classes. And I think this is one of the things, if you have been a parent in a past year of a pandemic and you haven't cried in the bathroom, are you even a parent? We have done the most. We have gone through, we have been everyone's meal, everyone's emotional support. We've been everyone's teacher, everyone's guidance counselor. We've been the working, it's hard. It is hard. I am ready. I'm on a mental vacation that doesn't even exist. I'm in the Maldives right now. Like trying to get through it. But what can we create? Can we take this and create a circle for queens to move forward in a way of mental health, professional health? Like, I think there's a real moment here that we could really move. And Kathy, you've been in a relationship. Like, I haven't been in a relationship that long. Can you help me? Like,
you're tone deaf from music. I'm tone deaf from my wife. That's the best marital advice I could give you is sometimes it's okay to ignore them.
But I feel like there's a good vibe here. We could all work from this and do something.
I've never been happier than I have this past year that my daughter is a junior in college. I give all of you who have taught grade school children over the last year all the respect. I have never been so relieved that she runs her own life for the most part. Hooray for us. So in addition to listening to other moms, I would throw out that we should find some empathy. We don't understand. I think it's also important to remember that we don't understand everyone's situation. And what you see out there in front of you may not be all there is. I know I don't particularly like to share all of my hardships with every person I meet. So sometimes maybe you'll get a short answer from me, but it's not because I'm angry at you. It's because there's something else going on. So I would throw that out as an addition to all of our answers. That remember that we don't know all the situation.
Thank you so much.
Hi everyone, if I can just chime in. I'm so sorry, I was having major technical difficulties.
Hey, this is the land of Zoom. We all get that.
But I wanted to say, Kelly, you asked like if we could do this as a support. This year and a half has been really, really difficult. And I think what Aisha and what Kathy was saying earlier, I think the one thing that does resonate with many of us this 1 year is that we're all, we know we hear the same, we're all in this together, but we're all experiencing it very differently, right? So what I would have thought that I would have experienced, as like Aisha said, as we go into the shelters, sometimes the moms see us as like these great saviors, right? Like, oh my gosh, you're here to help us, you're here to give us these workshops. And it's not until we start speaking that they're like, oh, you one of us. Like, oh, you're chill too. Oh, okay. Oh, your kid is with you and your kid is 12 and not listening too, or your niece is with you, or your friend who came to volunteer has on the same outfit that I just had on last night. So it's one of those things that this year, I think, even though of course it's driven us crazy and it's driven us through this emotional roller coaster, right? We're all like, wow, we've experienced something. Right? We're all, like Aisha said, we're all like, wow, I want to go get my nails done, but can I ask my friend to watch my kid to go get my nails done? But this year, some of us are like, you know what? I need a break. Like, I need to get out the house. I need to go get something done. Even if it's just, I'm going to go to work and then I take a 30-minute detour from work just to get back to you, right? Sometimes we just need that. And I think that that's what this pandemic has brought to light for many, many, many of us, right? For those of us, I'll share, for me, I never thought I would, when this first started in March, I was like, I need to get out the house. I cannot do this work from home, right? But now I'm kind of like, oh, I found my balance a little bit. Okay, like I could see myself doing this for a little bit longer, right? And some have had opposite effects, where in the beginning they loved it and now it's like, no, get me out of this house. I need the human interaction. But experiencing it differently, I think has also brought us to experiencing the similarities that we have as women and as people, right? Because as women, we're experiencing it, but our children, they're experiencing it. Our partners are experiencing it. Our postal workers, our UPS, everybody is experiencing this, right? So we as women are doing a lot. And I think we are now able to share in this community of womanness, right, with our fellow women, and also be able to say, okay, I'm not in this by myself. And yes, we are all in this together, but I am okay with saying that I'm not experiencing it the same way that Ariella is, or the same way that Tiffany is, or the same way that Kelly is. So I'm grateful for that this year, right? So many times we think that just because we have the same circle of friends, that we are all experiencing things the same, and it's not. Things come up, and I think that as an advocate for women and being in the community, that's something that resonated to me more. Say, like, you know what? Some of these women have taught me more than they can actually know. You know, I'm coming to work with them with the workshop, and they're looking at me like I'm a teacher, and I'm like, wait, you just taught me a new skill. Like, you know, we're teaching each other. So I really appreciate the pandemic for that. I know it sounds weird to hear, but I do. I appreciate it bringing out the commonalities that we all have, and the things that we share and the concerns that we share.
Thank you so much for that, Sabine. I'm really glad you were able to join us. So we have a few moments left in our panel, so I want to invite people to add questions to the Q&A, but in the meantime, I wanted to ask our panelists to, if you feel comfortable, to share any contact information or anything you want to leave for folks in the chat. And our last question from our office to you is, what is a persistent or growing issue in your community or in your field that you've discovered through your advocacy and that you would want to spotlight a little bit today and to share with us?
Well, you know, we have a whole list of issues in my community. New York is a great state, but we're not completely equal yet. So I'll talk a little bit about the work that I'm doing right now. And I mentioned earlier, there are 2 bills in the New York State Senate that we're trying to push right now before the end of session. One is a gender implementation bill. And for those of you who don't know what gender is, it's a package of rights and privileges for our trans siblings in the state of New York. That's the short answer to what gender is. So it's gender implementation in schools, meaning that we'd like to see schools actually adopt some gender sensitivity training and learn how to deal with trans kids or kids that are not conforming, and do the right thing and teach other kids that all children should be accepted and all of that kind of stuff. And the other one is a comprehensive sex ed bill, because there's no mandate in New York State to teach sex ed at all in school. I don't know if you know that, but not only don't they have to teach it, but there's absolutely no guideline on what to teach if they decide to teach it. So this bill would help with that. It's a comprehensive sex ed bill. And what it would do is start age appropriate knowledge from the beginning of school through high school. So in kindergarten, you would learn about your own self and consent and things like that. And they would ease into the more complicated subjects as the children got older. It would have to take place in every school in the state, and it would be regulated, which would mean that every kid in every county would have the ability to have comprehensive sex education. And what that means to my community is that every kid in the state, no matter how red or homophobic their district is, would learn that there are other people like them out there, and that all kids are to be accepted. So that's a really important bill for us. Of course, there's the adult bills that also have to be managed, but let's just focus on these 2 for the kids for today. But for more information, equalitynewyork.org. You can see my bio there. You can see what we do. We have a robust advocacy council that works on these issues. We like to say we're a bottom-up organization with no jokes. And what that means is that we don't tell our community what we should work on, the community tells us. So for the LGBTQI community and the parents within that community, you know, I am a parent, I am a lesbian, I am an activist, my daughter is 21 years old, beautiful and non-binary, and I love that. we have to learn how to accept all our kids and support them. So that's the work that I'm working on right now. And that's the thing that our community is focusing on, because our opponents are targeting our children. I'll leave you with another statistic. Out of all the kids under 26 in the state of New York that are homeless, most of those kids are LGBTQI. And there are only a fraction of homeless shelters that could understand or deal with those children. They suffer abuse, they suffer rape, they suffer being robbed, they suffer degradation, and many other things that we don't have time to talk about here. So all of these bills would kind of help those things. So please check out the website and see what we're doing and join us. All are welcome. We believe in bodily autonomy, which is for everyone. So come on in and join us. You don't have to be LGBTQI to work on equality. That's my speech for today. Thank you so much.
Kathy, that was so amazing. Can I just say one thing? I didn't know some of these bills were coming. Like, how do we get more information for us? Can you drop into the chat, like where we can go to? And for me personally, I represent one of the things I represent is a pre-K through 8th grade in Western Queens. One thing that I want is our children, especially that are in 6th through 8th, who are coming through their own sexuality and sort of orientation, to give them the most information. But how do we I want to be on the front lines of advocating for this, because you're asking for basic human rights, right? Like, this is a basic human rights for children. And how do we not shame children coming up in our system in Western Queens? And this is so important. Listen, I've got a loudmouth, obviously, and I'm happy to make that loudmouth available to a louder range of, again, another important thing from this conversation, I'm here for you. So please, let's connect. I'd love to.
You are in Gianaris's district?
I am.
Ask him who put him in office.
I love him. He's so good. Yes, he's the best staff too. I love it. Trust and believe. You and we will connect.
I'm going to drop my email in the chat to you. I did put the website and the general information for Equality New York in the chat. I hope everyone will step forward. Got a lot of stories for you about Western New York. They were hella marriage advocates. I'll say that.
Listen, first of all, I was never married. So my son was born out of wedlock. I'm, again, a product of I know, shocking, right? So again, but I think, this also goes back to what Sabine was saying. We have to stop looking at people and making generalizations of what somebody looks in. And I think, and I work in the shelter system as well, what you were saying of we're connecting on a commonality. So when I go in sometimes and I talk about my life experience, they're like, you? And I'm like, yep. Trust and believe. I came right out of where you came out of. And we can have a lot of conversations together. And I think that makes it, I think that's the thing that I was probably most embarrassed about growing up as a kid, because you become insecure about certain things. I think that you get most prideful about as an adult. And then you realize, and I want my son to be most prideful about his mother. So
I'll share a quick story that when our daughter was very young, 2 stories. One is that she went to a daycare, and one of the kids told her that she was lying about having 2 mothers, because nobody's allowed to have 2 mothers. And my daughter was about 5 years old, and she turned around and she said, "You don't live in my house, so how would you know?" So yay for her for that. Exactly right. She gave them all about that. And then when she went into grade school, about 2nd grade, I guess, one of the kids went home crying because he wanted to have 2 moms like she has. He wanted them. He said, "She has 2 of you, and I want that." So, kids are very accepting, and they love other children. They have to learn to hate, and we as adults have to stop teaching them that.
Thank you so much, Kathy and Kelly. I wanted to open the floor to Moms Who Care as well to answer the last question, if you would like to, about an issue that you've noticed through your advocacy before we close out.
I think the issue that we've noticed, and it was kind of already spoken about, is that self-care, mental health awareness piece. Again, because of that pressure that society places on women and caregivers and mothers to have it all together, people become very reluctant and apprehensive to ask for that support. They feel like, I'm failing. What's wrong with me? So I think that might be one of the biggest the biggest issues that we've come across. And so that's why we're so happy to be able to, you know, run the workshops that we do to kind of help break that stigma. We have an event coming up actually in Alley Pond Park in a couple of weeks. It's like a women's self-care conversation where we're going to have just like activities and an opportunity for women from whomever to just come and talk and share and learn some, you know, best practices on how to help channel and navigate your emotions. So I think that might be it. And then of course, we also do, like I said, we do give books out for free to wherever we go. And I guess that is another thing that, but you know, what's funny, it's something that we've noticed, but the parents are not really even aware that they're lacking the books. It's like, you know what, when I think about it, we don't have too many books at the house because everyone is so in this technology mind frame. And of course, technology is so helpful. I mean, it's helped so many people throughout this pandemic, but there's nothing that replaces a book. And you having your child sit on your lap and turn the pages and make those silly sounds and introduce them to new vocabulary and new backgrounds, right? Books help break down barriers of racism, gender inequality, and just everything. And so we are happy to promote literacy while we do the work that we do. And yeah, I think I answered the question. I don't know.
One more thing that we can add, it's not as big as what Aisha was saying with the self-care, but we do go into a lot of shelters, and the one commonality is the domestic violence against women that we've noticed. It's kind of like one of those unspoken things, like Aisha said about the resources. They don't really speak about it. It's just kind of, this is just what is, but domestic violence is something that of course ties into the self-care and the self-love and the mental health issues, but it's something that is a common theme in a lot of the shelters that we've worked in. So that's something that, like Aisha was saying, ties into knowing your self-worth, knowing, you know, who you are and what you stand for. And if you are in that situation, the resources to help you remove yourself from it if that's where you are at that time. So that's the one thing that I would add from what Aisha mentioned.
I want to thank our panelists so much. This has been such an enlightening and fun, but also very important panel and discussion. And I look forward to keeping in touch with every single panelist on our gender justice initiative. And please feel free to connect with each other and our office at large. And I want to introduce my colleague, Janine Agard, who's going to take it from here for panel number 3. Thank you so much. Take it away, Janine.
All right. Hi, everybody. I just want to say that everyone on here looks beautiful, okay? Like absolutely beautiful. So thank you all for joining us tonight. I have 2 guests joining us. I have Principal Pandey. Please forgive me if I'm saying your name wrong. And then also I have Chef Maria of Maria's Mediterranean, and she's also the Chopped champion. So we have great women that we're going to feature on this panel for panel number 3. So first, I am going to go into bios. We have Chef Maria. Maria Petridis is not a chef in the traditional norms of the title. She didn't go to a fancy culinary school. Wasn't taught but the executives and professors, by the executives and professors. No, she is a chef that grew, nurtured, and perfected her talent in the kitchen through experience. She grew up in a small village named Scutari. Am I almost close, right? In Greece, looking over her mother's shoulder every chance she got so that she could learn all the little secrets of the Mediterranean kitchen. Over the years, she grew to love cooking more and more. After moving to New York to pursue the American dream, she started her family. Her toughest critics in the kitchen were always her 3 children. They pushed her to modernize and put a twist on the cuisine she knew best. That is exactly what she did. Always playing with recipes and ingredients to turn everyday Greek dishes into reimagined masterpieces. After 20 years of trials and tribulations, hand in hand with her husband, Kyriakos Petridis, sorry. They opened Maria's Mediterranean on Bell. The culmination of all efforts came the day the producers of Food Network's Chopped called to invite her on the show. Lo and behold, she won. Every day is an adventure for your mouth at Maria's when you try one of her new specials or of the tried and true staples on the menu. And I just want to thank you for joining us, Chef Maria. So I'm going to also read Principal Pandey's bio as well, and then we'll just roll into questions. Okay? All right. We have the wonderful Principal Mala Pandey. Mala Pandey, principal of the Young Women's Leadership School of Queens, New York. Mala Pandey is the 8th year principal and started her public service in education in September 2004. She began her career as a New York City science teacher and then served as an assistant principal before accepting the amazing opportunity to lead at the Young Women's Leadership School of Queens, right in her childhood hometown. Mala Pandey's career interests are centered in engaging youth in racial, political, and social issues that impact them directly, as well as women all around the world. She has initiated a range of school-wide projects and partnerships, all seeking and successfully adding to minority excellence. Her favorite part of her leadership role is supporting the professional development of teachers as they take courageous risk with their curriculum and spending time with young people over the course of 7 years before being. So thank you both for joining. Let's roll right into these questions. So the first question is, do you believe there are qualities you have gained as a mother that you have carried into your workspace? And if so, how do you feel it has improved your work performance? Were you able to be more level-headed, even tempered, more ambitious? So Chef Maria, you go first.
Of course, being a mother for so many years, because when I started career as a chef, my kids were already grown up and 2 of them moved out of the house already, gave me the ability to have that training, let's say. And with that training, being a mother for so many years, I applied to my employees and I had better patience and better understanding that I have to go slowly explaining things to them, teach them. It was much more easier if I wouldn't have that experience as a mother for so many years. And that helped me a lot.
Awesome. Principal Pandey, how about you?
It's such an honor to be together. You know, I run an all-girls school with young people, adding to my worth every single day. And I feel that we can have a spa moment.
Yes.
More after this. I want to just put that out there. But thanks so much for having me. It's been really great. I've been taking jots myself. Being a mom, I would say a couple of the qualities that are burnt into my heart is the importance of having a mantra. You know, something that I can chant and keep using, and it changes sometimes, you know, a few times a month, a few times a year. My children have taught me that if I'm really going to change, there's got to be some form of a transformation. And so I've seen that in work too. I know I'm doing good work when I'm risking something or doing something inconvenient or challenging, because after that, there has been some form of transformation about how I think and how I lead and co-lead with young people. And I would say the last thing that my kids have taught me is that they and collectively builds my strength. I think that is something that is a core. I have always been practicing gratitude and solitude as a leader, as a mother, as a woman, but my children definitely build my strength.
Wow, that's amazing. I love that. And you both mentioned patience and the transformation of, you know, you being able to just carry that role of being a mother into your workplace. And I don't know, this is going a little bit off course, but I find that's a great correlation, because you need patience to handle both careers. You guys are both in a very upbeat, very fast-paced industry, especially after this year with the pandemic. I mean, both industries, you have the restaurant industry and you have this being in a school, the education, the DOE department, you know, it's just like, you guys have to both keep up with those challenges and then also, you know, keep up with the challenges that you're facing in your home. So, I mean, that's wonderful. I'm glad that you're able to, you know, combine both worlds more or less, right? So the next question is, were there any moments in your life where people doubted you would be able to handle being a mother and a professional woman? And Chef Mourinho, sorry.
Of course, there were many times. People they judge everything that they see, and knowing, like you said, it's such a difficult place to work in a kitchen and managing a whole restaurant. They doubting that you're gonna continue being a mother and nevertheless a good mother. And then they were questioning if she's going to be able to perform in her job. But in a miraculous way, I don't know how to explain it, us women and mothers, we always find a way to do everything. It's not necessarily perfect, but somehow we manage to do it. I don't know how to give you another explanation. I'm sure the Principal Pandey has a better answer.
It feels so weird. I'm trying to figure out. I hate being Principal Pandey, but Mala is very cool in this setting. No, that was a very honest answer. I think that one that is a common denominator for all feminists, many women, is that the doubt often starts within. There is always a voice that's like, am I really doing this? Should I be doing this financially, intellectually, spiritually? Am I doing the right thing at the right time? And we get better and better at either hushing it, and sometimes, right, we let it yell, and that could be dangerous. But I think that the doubt often came from me, because when it was within me, it fed someone else. And when it fed someone else, I knew that it only was able to grow legs because it was within me. Because on the converse, there are many times that people did doubt and I didn't hear it. I didn't listen. And it was because that doubt within me wasn't taking over my headspace. So I think one of the best things that I've learned around, you know, the haters of the world, those who make assumptions and are pompous about it, is that you've got to really make sure that they're not pulling something that you believe about yourself. Because once they kind of hit below the belt, it's because there's a part of your feminist groove that's singing to that beat. So that's something that I really try to pay attention to. Like, why did you get to me? It's because maybe I believe that about myself.
Wow, that's very, I just want to snap.
But it's good to fake it too. So even if I do believe it, I'll say, no, I'm ready to be this principal, please.
That's awesome. And that rolls right into the next question. How did you balance your career or business and family life during a pandemic? And do you have any advice that you will offer to others in your situation?
During the pandemic, we had to work. We didn't stop working at all. And thankfully, you know, I was lucky enough, like I said before, my children are older to care for themselves. The days and the time that we had to stay home, we solved a lot of puzzles around the table, you know, trying to kill time. And it was a lot of talking. We connected in the ways that we never had the time to connect before. Actually, to tell you the truth, during the pandemic, we find time to just reconnect. And it was a hardship in many ways, but I'm choosing to see the good in everything. And I'm thankful even in this craziness time, that I found the time to reconnect with my family. And it was a precious time for me, time that I don't have usually. Other than that, I saw the struggle in them because they couldn't dream anymore. They couldn't make plans for the future. And I think this pandemic hit mostly young people that they were just starting a career for themselves. And they were like questioning everything, what we should do, what's going to happen. And I saw that in many people. And I have the opportunity to talk with a lot of people in the restaurant, a lot of customers of ours. And I talk with the parents, I talk with the young kids. They have the same issues that I had, that what now and what's going to be tomorrow. It was the biggest question. I don't know if that goes with all the mothers here.
That was great.
It was like, I didn't have any answers, and that was the worst. It was the first time in my life that I didn't have any answers. I didn't have any advices to give them. I didn't know how to guide them. And I think that's what kills us the most, us as mothers. We don't know how to soothe their emotions. We don't know what to say to make them feel better.
Yeah.
I didn't have answers for me. Nevertheless, I'm going to have answers for somebody else, right?
Yeah.
But thankfully, we're here, thank God, and we're moving forward.
Yeah, I'm sure you had a very busy Mother's Day weekend at your restaurant.
It was insane. Thank God, though. That's all I have to say. Thank God.
Awesome. How about you? I don't know, you prefer Mala? I want to respect your title,
Yeah, Mala's great for this setting.
Okay.
Yeah. I would say the pandemic has been brutal on my heart because our young people have lost a lot. They've lost space, they've lost balance, they've lost lives, they've lost money, they've lost hope in some cases. And it's an all-girls school, grades 6 through 12. So that's on average grade 11 through 18. And 60% of our young people are led by single mom homes. So I think the advice is going back to one of my cores, which is during any time, any crisis, any high, any low, as women, we need to really learn how to nurture our emotions and our desires, right? Don't lose sight of that. And I try to share that with young people and my moms and my grandmas who are supporting them. And then another big one would be really understanding how to cultivate community bonds. Who are your support people and how do you cultivate and preserve those bonds even when life is at its thinnest?
You mentioned that you have the ages of 11 to 18. Yeah. So especially in those, that particular age group, was it difficult to engage them, and especially with the ages leading up to college? Like, I know that they've lost prom, graduation, everything has just went virtually. And how were you able to, reassure them or allow them to, create a space to feel that emotion in your capacity? Oh, you're muted.
I have been very lucky in that the teachers who are in those classrooms really understand how to generate goodwill during these times. So there is an immense amount of kindness and empathy and understanding in an all-girls school. And the majority of my staff are women of color, and that was intentional. So there is a vibe around trusted adults and being able to share and vent openly. Equally balanced, I would say, is ambition. We are a Title I school, so the majority of our young people live at or below the poverty line. And the sense of ambition within them has led them to our school, which is a free public school, where 100% of the young people go to a college of their choice. And so when you've got hope, or when there is a light at the end of the tunnel, you learn to keep moving. You learn to definitely express and identify your feelings, especially during a time of grief and loss. But overall, we have never, ever lost sight of walking across that stage or rising up to the next grade. So I would say, in short, hope is at the bullseye of this work. We keep ourselves and our young people hopeful.
Mm-hmm. And for Chef Maria, you made some great points as well. And I think that, you know, the whole world was at a standstill, you know, when the whole pandemic was you know, at its peak, you know, and a lot of families were, you know, I guess you could say forced to be together in their home. Like you couldn't go anywhere. Like you were forced to be there. You were forced to do puzzles with each other. There was a time that I actually, you know, went to Target and I was like, I'm going to do a puzzle with my mom. It never happened, but the thought was there. So, I mean, as we're all there to just spend time with each other, and that's a beautiful point that you brought up. You know, you have no other time but to, you know, connect, really.
Yes, because we are so busy in our everyday lives, you know, everybody is so busy. So, like you said, we got forced, you know, somebody forced us to do that. And it was good.
Mm-hmm.
And it was good.
Next question. Do you think it is important to expose your children to your work environment? You have your children in the work industry in your restaurant as well, but do you take your children to work sometimes, and would you like to see them go in the same field as you when they're older?
Like I said, I have 3 kids that are older enough. They're 33, 30, and 23. Yeah. All my children at some point worked for me. The boys, the older and the youngest one, they decided to follow their own careers because, you know, they decided that they don't like the restaurant business. But my daughter, she stayed with us. And
Melly, right?
Melly, yes. And she's a mother herself too. And I believe bringing your kids to school when they're younger, to work. School still in my brain. She's here. She's here with me. She's always next to me. Yeah. So has the don'ts and do's. It's good and not good because sometimes it's overwhelming to see a lot of things that maybe they're not ready to experience. Or if you force them because you don't have any other choices, because that happens many times. I know a lot of mothers, they force to take the kids to work with them because guess what? A lot of people don't have that opportunity to leave their kids with somebody else. They cannot afford.
That's a great point.
Or somebody to care for the kids. On the other hand, when they're a little older, it's good to see how you bring bread home, how difficult it is to deal and to physically exhaust yourself. They have to understand that when mommy comes home, she's not all like, oh, I went to work, I'm back, and how you doing, and let's do homework. No, mommy is exhausted when she comes home. So they have to understand that too. And that's what I said. I think it's age appropriate. You have to judge when to bring your kids to work, or if you don't have a choice, you have to. And the other hand is give them the ability, give them the choice to see. If they like what they see and they want to follow your footsteps, then by all means, you gotta help them and support them. I'm lucky at least one out of the 3, she wants to be with me. But I'm happy for the others that they decided they're going to follow their own careers. That's fine too.
Awesome.
It's always a tough decision for mothers, it's always tough. We don't know what to do. But somehow we manage, to just either, my daughter tells me I need to stop. I'm talking too much. So I'm going to give Principal Pandey
the floor.
Yeah, the floor. She's leaving. You gotta come back here.
Yeah, daughters are known for that. It's a loving gesture, I'm sure. So I think that taking your kids to work, is always a good thing. It's another dimension of your womanhood and you're sharing it. But it being age appropriate is important. For my kids, I have a teenager who is, his name's Andrew, and he has special needs. And I have an 8-year-old, and her name is Alana. And I've asked them, you know, what's the problem you want to solve in the world? And once you figure out a problem you want to solve, you'll be able to find your purpose and passion. So Andrew has very strong feelings against rapists. And so he wants to think about how to punish people who do wrong things to women. That's kind of his line. And Alana wants to help those who are sick. So she might pursue a field in the medical world. But that's really the angle. What's a problem you see in the world, and, you know, a problem that you want to help solve? If it turns out that they're disappointed with education and they want to end up somewhere in the path of teaching, of course, I'm beaming. But I really think it's very important that they speak to a service-minded concept. And I would say that there was another part of your question. It was,
You want me to reread it?
yeah, what was it?
Would you like to see them go in your field when
I answered it. Yes, sorry.
You did. All right. Last question. How do you find time to do everything? How do you find time to do everything you do? And then also find a time to quiet yourself, or find a place of that where you find your center? Are there activities that you allow are there activities that you do to decompress?
Being a restaurant chef and owner, unfortunately, you don't have time to think about resting time. But when I do find the time, the only thing that I'm doing is going, let's say, in a retail store, and I'm just looking for ideas to plates, like, you know, new ideas or decoration stuff. And that's my only time that I can relax and just escape a little bit. Other than that, unfortunately, being in this business, I don't have that much time.
Wow. Okay. I hope you were able to.
I think you know where I'm going to find all these things.
Yeah. I hope you were also able to take that time to, you know, breathe during our beginning of our panel, our discussion this evening. So,
yes, absolutely. It was wonderful. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Awesome. All right. How about you, Mala?
I'm a strong believer in the community bonds. So I think when you meet good people and there is history with them, or it's someone maybe at an event, that you try to follow up and follow through with getting together. And I definitely love doing that over food. So Maria, I might be visiting you. But I love getting together over food and maybe a great cocktail. And I try to do that at least once a week. But I'm a big believer in investing in yourself first. Because I don't see it enough with the women in my family. And I think that we're measured often by what we do for others and not what we do for ourselves. So I think that by investing in myself, I also gain emotional transparency. I'm able to identify what I'm feeling, share what I'm feeling, own what I'm feeling, and act upon it. So good food, good drinks, and being aware of my feelings and expressing it, that's kind of my pros right now at this time in my life. So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, ladies, I want to thank you both for this wonderful time that you spent with me on this panel. It was very enlightening. You ladies are wonderful. All the ladies on here are completely wonderful. So thank you for joining. And now I will kick it off to our wonderful Deputy Borough President, Ms. Rhonda Benda.
Before we jump and before the deputy closes out, we have a special presentation. So we would like to recognize and honor the moms in Queensborough, in the Queensborough President's Office. And so we have a small presentation. Hold on. See. Did everyone just see that? Okay, let's see. Okay, here we go. And that is our presentation. So thank you for watching, and thank you all for being here. And now I will kick it over to the Deputy Borough President, Rhonda Benda, who will close us out for this evening.
Hello, everyone. I'm Rhonda Benda, the Queens Deputy Borough President, and on behalf of Borough President Donovan Richards, I want to thank you for being here to celebrate our mothers. Queens is so honored to host our very first Dear Mama Mother's Day celebration to thank our mothers for all of the gifts that they've given us over the years. We've reached the end of this program and have to thank the powerful and inspiring panelists for their time and their expertise. And of course, on behalf of Borough President Richards, I want to again thank our organizers and the staff, Tiffany Eason, Janine Egard, and Ariella Davidoff, as well as everyone behind the scenes that made this work so well tonight. I encourage everyone watching to please keep in touch with us. We have a few amazing events coming up. The first is this Saturday. If you have children under the age of 15, join our Youth Bicycle Jamboree right behind Borough Hall. And also on May 20th, we have two events. One is our next virtual job fair, as well as the Guyana Day celebration. So be sure to check us out on our website, on the YouTube channel, subscribe. And please, if you want information, feel free to reach out to any of us. Thank you all. Bye, Mom. Have a great night, everyone.
And wait, Deputy, really quickly, because we're all so beautiful on this this program, I'm gonna put it in gallery mode and do a screenshot so we can all take a picture together. Is that okay with everyone?
Thank you.
Because we can't physically be together. Just let me know.
Some good lighting. Hold on, wait, let me find some good lighting.
That's a great idea, Tiffany, and wonderful event, everyone.
Thank you all. Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay, is everyone ready? 1, 2, 3.
Awesome.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much for including me. Have a lovely night, everyone.
Have a lovely night. Thank you.